Tom, we have to behave.
We can.
I don't know. That's hard to figure back.
Good call.
Sometimes. She's the babysitter us.
So they've got some responses in here. They have articles in there. Yes, ma'am. It'll put you to sleep.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
I'm sorry, Tammy. No, you didn't hear nothing, no.
I tried to be entertaining.
That's good.
Were you here the other night? You weren't here on Monday.
No, for the NAACP, I
Yeah,
couldn't
you
make
know
it.
what? That one was great because it was like they gave us a couple questions and we were trying to go to them.
Really?
And we just had a conversation.
I think that's what
It was really good. I enjoyed it because it was like you had to think on your feet.
Sure.
And people ask about things that they care about. Some of them are I'm sorry, let me get out of your way.
You're fine.
Well, if you were, get another detail.
Good to see you.
Yeah. It was good.
A bigger crowd against the meeting. We didn't know what the result would be being this early. I think you're concerned with the candidates because it's so early. The reason it's early is, one, we have to do it when the room's available. And two, we're trying to accommodate and work with the library as best we can. We had, I guess the last election, we had one of these and it went way over and beyond the library's closing, and they asked me never to do that again. So I sort of moved in the other direction this time. So, my name is Mike Stockton. I'm the publisher of the News Graphic here in Georgetown. And I want to welcome each of you here today, and I certainly want to thank the candidates for participating in this. In addition to being the publisher of the News Graphic, this year I'm also serving as the president of the Kentucky Press Association. And one of the things that I am very concerned about, and since I've got a captive audience, you're going to hear this for a moment, is the future of journalism, and particularly local journalism. As you know, there are thousands of newspapers that have closed over the last 20 years, and you're seeing the same thing happen with television. Right now you've got a duopoly in Lexington, and what's happening is large corporations are coming in and buying markets instead of stations. And what's happening, and I don't care what your political affiliation is, what you're hearing is politicians and leaders criticizing and mocking journalists who ask questions they don't like. Okay? And the best way to get you not to listen to them is to discredit them, and that's what they try to do. So I want to encourage you to support local journalism and local news. Okay? I appreciate it, and I hope that you're supporting the News Graphic. You can support it through your subscriptions. You can support it through advertising. And certainly, you can share what you read in the News Graphic with others. But it's not just a News Graphic. It is community newspapers throughout the state and throughout the country. So there is my speech for tonight. Roger Ward, professor of philosophy, is going to be our moderator tonight. And I have told him that he is the man. Okay? When I turn it over to him, he's in control. I said, gentlemen, he has a button over there, and if he pushes it, you disappear. So, please behave. What we're going to do, somebody asked me, why is it a forum instead of a debate? Okay? In my estimation, we need discussion regarding issues and less arguments. Okay? I think that we have gotten to a point in our country and perhaps in the world where we yell at each other instead of talking to each other. And so that's what this is going to be about today. We're going to discuss issues, and hopefully, you'll figure out who supports and is most closely aligned with what you believe. But we're not going to get into this calling each other names and that kind of stuff. There's just too much of that. And I know some of you are disappointed. I know over here and said, oh, but anyway, that's what we're going to be tonight. So I'm going to turn this over now to Roger Ward. He is the professor of philosophy at Georgetown College, and he retired from wrestling before he went into education. So guys, I'll warn you again. So Roger.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. So our rules are basically that we're going to ask our candidates to respond to questions in about 60 seconds each. We are going to give them 90 seconds to introduce themselves, and the order is going to be determined by the number that they draw from this cup. So, if you don't mind. You got one? Yeah.
While they're doing that, Roger, I forgot to mention two things. One, there are cards over here if you want to write a question. And if we've got time, we'll go through them. And if you've got a question you want to be asked of the candidates, it's over here. And also back to my original, all you candidates here and stuff, paper readers vote. Keep that in mind, okay? And there's information back here on that.
Thank you. Who got number one? Kent. So go ahead and take 90 seconds and introduce yourself, please.
Thank you, Roger. Well, good afternoon. My name is Ken Newman. My wife Christy and I have called Georgetown our home for nearly 40 years. We raised our kids here, and we've seen the community provide a world-class foundation for its families here. But like many of you, I want Georgetown where our children and grandchildren don't just grow up, but they find opportunities to return and build their own lives here. That's why I'm asking to serve as your next mayor. I currently serve on our city council, but my preparation for this role started long before that. I spent over 4 decades serving on local boards and committees while working in engineering, manufacturing, administration, and government relations since coming to build and start up Toyota in 1987. My career wasn't just about building cars. It's about building communities. I find myself translating the complex needs of business, education, and government into long-term collaborative solutions that help us build the communities in which we're located. In Georgetown, growth is not the problem. It's unmanaged growth. Roads, utilities, public safety, and quality of life don't improve by accident. They require a mayor who understands how to plan, collaborate, measure progress, and hold the line on accountability. If you elect me as your mayor, my administration will focus on 3 commitments. Leadership that listens. Transparency isn't just about a buzzword, it's about knowing why and how it fits before decisions are made, not after. Intentional planning. Our growth must align with our infrastructure and staffing needs. We will protect our unique pride of place while being disciplined about a data-driven use of your tax dollars. Finally, results-oriented stewardship. As an Eagle Scout and a fiscal conservative, I'm focused on outcomes, not politics. Our municipal elections are nonpartisan, and that's for a good reason. Because a pothole and a public concern doesn't have political boundaries. Georgetown's best days are ahead of us, but we must be intentional about how we get there. I have the experience, the judgment, and the collaborative spirit to lead this city into the next chapter. We can do better. I respectfully ask for your support and your vote in the primary. Together, let's build Georgetown. We can all be proud to call home. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. So we'll expand the time for each candidate to equal that. So that's about 3 minutes. Who got number 2? I'm number 2. Please stand.
I'm Dan Holman. I've lived in Georgetown 20 years. I grew up in Lexington, I'm from Kentucky. And so I'm sort of more of the outsider on the stage, even though 20 years is a long time. So what I've been over the last 4 years is I'm a citizen activist. And I think what we need in government is more involvement of people. So I'd like to make a more citizen-involved focus in town. And there's just several processes that need reform. And we should all look at it together as a community, because the collective intelligence of the 40,000 people in town are really where our intelligence and our ideas are. So just engaging the community is very important. So there's just many things. Growth is a central issue of the town right now. Some people, we are growing, and I think a lot of people get a sense that it's not well-managed growth. I definitely get a sense that it's not well-managed, and we need to get a better handle on it. Affordable housing is a huge thing that I've been disappointed over the past several years that we just haven't done more, really almost anything about affordable housing. The way we do capital projects is something that needs reforming. The city hall, what we do with these projects, and this involves money. I think we could say we overspend a lot of money. We put out, for the large capital projects, we put out a request for qualifications for engineers to do the project management of the project, and then basically they own the project. Like the city no longer does it. So like the way, Georgetown Municipal Water and Sewer needs some reform. This debacle recently at the Royal Spring Park was kind of an issue of, that wasn't citizen driven, that wasn't city driven, we just turned it over to the engineers to tell us what to do. So we need to change that. And I think the way the planning and zoning meetings work is a good model. Citizens can actually speak up there a little bit more on issues and actually ask questions. So I looked at that as an example. We need better real estate strategy in town. Georgetown is a real estate town, and the city just isn't involved in the real estate. So people largely ball homes will buy land and just do ball home developments all over the town. 30 seconds. Okay, thank you. And we just need to reform lots of different processes. And then the one thing that I want to get done, if anything else, is activities for kids. Kids, this should be a fun place for kids to grow up in Georgetown. Thank you.
And who was number 3? Ernest.
Good evening. My name is Brian Jenkins, and I serve as the parent mayor for the city of Georgetown. So let me give a little historical background on me. I came here in 1972 to go to Georgetown College. 4 years later, after graduating from Georgetown College, I was employed by Scott County Schools as a 7th grade science teacher. I continued that route along with being a coach, sports official, and you name it, I've done it. Ran the city school here for years, and after graduating from Georgetown College, we'll continue on with that. But the thing I want to say is this about me. I've been a public servant here for more than 50 years. It's about people. At the end of the day, it's got to do right by people. And that's hopefully what I've done this past 4 years. I've been very open with people. My doors of City Hall has been open. I'm out in the community. One of the biggest things I see that we don't do enough of is communicating with our kids. I visit every school every year, and because we need to look ahead. We're all not going to be here, but we got to set a foundation for our kids. And with my background in dealing with people has made immensely and helped me to learn to be a good man. Now, when I first first came in here, I will tell you, there's a lot of things I had to learn. But once I learned those things, the most important thing is make sure you do what's right by people. On my desk sits my motto or mission statement that all of my staff follow. It's people first, every decision, every day. Thank you.
And our fourth wife.
My name is Alonzo Allen. I'm from the big city of Monticello, Kentucky. I married my beautiful wife, Tanya Allen, for several years, and we raised 3 sons here in Georgetown. I'm struggling with allergies right now, so just bear with me. I have 6.5 grandchildren. Number 7 is due in August, and she will be right here in the Georgetown. Tanya and I have lived here in Georgetown 38, 39 years, and we made this our home. We've seen a lot of changes over the years. I'm a registered independent. I did that by choice so that I could listen to both sides, all 3 sides, all 4 sides, no matter what. I want to sit down and talk to everybody at any given time and listen. After I started Toyota as a team leader and raised up through the ranks as a manager. I was the production manager for the plastics department, which I was responsible for a large budget. So I had budgetary responsibilities and also cost-cutting responsibilities. So I understand what the budget should do, and I understand that very deeply. When I was in the plastics, I was in Toyota, I did 18 years in production. Then the last 7 years of my career was a project manager role. So in that, I got to help start Mississippi Plan and some pretty major advanced manufacturing technician program. I was well involved in that very deeply. When I retired from Toyota, I went to UK and I taught for 6 years. I taught lean manufacturing. So I taught other companies how to be more efficient. In 2019, I started my own business, so I'm a small business owner. So I know the struggles of being a small business owner. With that, my business is lean consulting. So I still help companies with their processes just be more efficient. This is something I want to bring to city government. When I say that, sometimes people laugh. The city government has their own vote or their own kind of rhythm. But as mayor, I think I could be more influential into making some of those changes. I have volunteered on several boards. Seen a lot of people out here that I've worked with on boards. I played different roles on those boards, from a member to a leader. I also have volunteered at places like the Gathering House, the Gathering Place, the Amen House, and I've utilized my time very wisely. I'm a mentor. I formally mentor 2 students here in Scott County. I informally mentor about 5 students. I love mentoring and supporting our kids. I started the Georgetown Main Association group, and we have adopted Southern Elementary as our school. We know that we need to support our school system. With that, we're mentoring students, we are supporting the teachers, and we also help the administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me remind you in the audience, if you do have a question you would like to ask, you can fill out a card here and bring that up. We have about 10 questions already prepared. We'll try to get through as many as possible, and that will depend on the candidates moderating their time wisely. So we'll ask you to respond to these questions in a minute, and then we'll get around to more questions that way. So we're back to Kim Minke, and here's the question, and we'll go through the same order. In your estimation, what is the single greatest issue facing the city of Georgetown? How do you propose the city address this issue?
So the single biggest issue I believe that we have here in Georgetown is affordable housing and being able to meet the needs of our community. Affordable housing means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So I think the way that we address the issue is the gap in available housing, first of all, and then the gap in affordable housing for folks that are starting out. We don't have a lot of starter homes. And so I think what we need to do is provide more data-driven information about projects and look at the ways that we can work with our developers to be able to provide starter homes and a wide variety of homes in our community.
Thank you. Dan, same question.
Yeah, growth, issues surrounding growth is probably a primary concern at this time. So how do we manage it? And affordable housing is a huge part of that. But basically, we would start by implementing, our comprehensive plan has some guides to how to start this, and there's supposed to be a comprehensive plan implementation committee, but that hasn't happened yet. So we need to implement the comprehensive plan and start having these conversations with the public, and have a lot of public involvement. Activities for kids is a huge one. And so again, one thing I didn't mention, I was a computer programmer, project manager, and technical strategist for years. I worked for Hewlett Packard. So we need to manage individual projects in this town and decide, as a community, what our vision is.
Thank you.
And then get there.
All right. Mayor Jenkins, please.
Part more so is services and revenue. There's two ways we get revenue: taxation and or bringing in jobs. Jobs pay for services. And when you only have those two ways of getting income, you have to be able to stay within your budget to make sure that happens. The cost of doing services has increased, even to a point when I came here and as mayor in 2023 to now, the cost of services has gone up, and it's going to continue to grow up. So what we got to be doing is forward thinking, is bringing in more revenue so we can continue to provide the services that you as citizens expect out of government.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts.
Yeah, so recurring revenue is the biggest challenge as I see, and that's due to the growth. Our tax structure, and I'm not going to get into it 30 seconds, of course, so if you want to see me later, we'll talk about it, but our tax structure has put a strain on our city finances. We really need to sit down and work with the county, and because on the payroll taxes, which is 50% of our budget, the county also gets 40% of the payroll taxes, so we need to sit down and work with the county to rebalance this. Our growth has changed where people are choosing to live. Okay, we have 65% of the people that live in the city limits and 35% live in the county. So we need to sit down with the county and work through that.
All right, thank you very much. We will start this next question with Dan Holman. You'll be first to answer it. Why are you the best candidate to be Georgetown's next mayor?
I'm not a politician. I'm focused. Hello, one second. I have the best citizen focus in here from the perspective of a citizen activist. What needs to change and how we can involve our voices in the government. For the past 4 years, I've followed closely, through open records requests and attending multiple meetings, what needs to be done. So that we need to reform all our committee processes. For example, the finance committee should be all members of the council should be on the finance committee. Frankly, all members of the council should be on a lot of the committees, like fire, police, should have monthly workshops where they come and give updates so everybody can see what they're doing. And I also have a good financial understanding of things. This county issue is a huge issue that Alonzo did refer to. That's where they take half of the taxes. We really do need to work with the county to get them to put more money into Georgetown.
Thank you. Bernie Jenkins.
Why am I the best candidate for this job? Because I'm the mayor. I've experienced it. For 4 years I've been in this job. I have sit in this seat. So I understand, when we talk about procurement and working with government, not just with the different agencies on the federal level, but also on the state level. I've been a person who has actually served this public for many, many years. I've invested my time in this community for years. I understand what people, because I go out to talk with people every day. So, that being said, I want to continue to be the public servant, because that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Thank you. Mr. Allen.
I'm I'm very data-driven. I like data, I like processes, I like standards. I think that keeps us out of the weeds. I like more than one option. When I'm presented with something, or when I was on council, we were presented with things. Usually it was just one item, and it's hard to make a decision just on that one item. I think every project should have multiple options so that we can evaluate those options and make the best decision for the citizens of this community. So my background in Toyota has taught me how to do this. My teaching at UK, as I've taught community leaders and business leaders, I've taught them how to do this. My business is centered around this. So in my opinion, yes, I am the best person for mayor of Georgetown. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Mackey.
So the reason that I believe I'm the best suited to be the mayor is I'm a collaborator. I'm a problem solver. And basically look at things from a long-term strategic perspective. I spent my entire career being a translator because business has a language, education has a language, government has a language, and being able to bring the folks together to collaborate and work together in a comprehensive way to be able to get to the solution that is best for the people of Georgetown. I've been on a number of boards that have been asked to go in and turn around organizations. I've been asked to start organizations so that we can take a benchmark that we've had here in this community and share it across the state.
Thank you. Our next question, we'll start with Mayor Jenkins. What do you see as the most important part of the mayor's job?
The most important part of the mayor's job is actually in either to collaborating, but also the fact of managing people, managing resources, managing services. It's all about doing those and collectively putting it all together to provide the best service for people. So that's what I mentioned that, and you're gonna hear me say it a lot. We're in the business of service. And so to do that, you have to be able to talk with people, get input from people in the community, and also understanding what your staff, and you hire your staff to get the information you need to make the best decision for people.
Thank you. Mr. Allen.
One of the important things is to make sure that you understand the current condition, and also that you can look ahead and you can look down the road and you have long-term vision. So long-term vision is the key. It's not about this particular project, it's about how this project impacts downstream or upstream. So in my opinion, long-term vision and understanding the current condition, there are two important things. Listening is the key. You have to listen to the constituents. Understand what they want. Understand what the needs are. Try to balance that out with the other elements that you're up against. So understanding the condition and also listening, I think, are two of the most important items.
Thank you. Mr. Mackey.
So I think the most important thing is to be able to set that clear vision, to be able to look at all the plans that are out there, overlap them, and come up with where the priorities are. Then be able to empower the people within the city to actually carry out those activities, provide them the resources they need to do it, and then holding folks accountable for that. With that, then we can make progress and we can actually move forward. But it's through that collaboration of all the partners that are out there working together.
Thank you. Mr. Hall.
I think the mayor is the person who connects the dots and brings the different pieces of the complex town together so that so everyone's working together. So yeah, collaboration is important, is very important. Listening, I'm a listener. Maybe some people hear me talk at public comments, but I listen. And have an intuitive, creative vision about how things can work and who should be talking to who. Lots of times we have missed opportunities sometimes the city just leaves the planning and zoning to planning and zoning, leaves the water stuff to the water service. But the mayor's the person who brings it together, connects the dots, and makes things work collaboratively together.
Thank you. Our next question will begin with Mr. Allen. Do you see the positions of Mayor of Georgetown and the Scott County Judge Executive as equal partners in governing the community?
Most definitely. And I go back to the way our taxes are structured. We have to be a partner. We have to be a partner with the county because the way that's governed. We have to be supportive of each other. One can't work without the other. So yes, there has to be good collaboration, good partnership with the county. That's a must.
Excellent, thank you. Mr. Mayor.
I think collaboration is absolutely essential, and we've got a good model that has been left for us. Basically, because of our unique tax structure that we do have here, we have a number of interlocal agreements, and I think that's one of the areas that I think we need to just continue to expand that, because that's how we can best provide the services to our citizens and still be able to move forward. So it's all about partnership and cooperation and coordination of those things. I think we can take that to another level in the interlocal activities, even in how we operate the joint functions that we have and ourselves as individual government bodies as well.
Thank you. Mr. Holland.
Yes, the city and the county working together is incredibly important, and that's something that hasn't. That's another example of two groups of people that don't always collaborate and that do need the dots connected and do need to work together better. Frankly, I support consolidating the governments at some point. Probably we're there now, where we just have one county city government, such as Fayette County does. So yeah, all these interlocal agreements, they're not always working best for the city. So for example, EMS that's managed by the county, but most of the calls take place in the city. And so should EMS and fire be consolidated? So yeah, we have a county fire, a city fire, and then we have a interlocal EMS. Someone needs to talk and get that all working together. And then the tax structure, the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins, please.
We have 19 agreements. And the thing is this, would you want to do something for half, or you want to do it for the whole? It's about doing what's best for everybody. So working together makes sense. And we have one of the model systems with the city and the county. In my travels throughout Kentucky as mayor, I've seen horror stories where people, the city government and county government, do not work together. And guess who ends up suffering from this? The people who put you in that position.
Thank you. Our next question will begin with Mr. Mankey. As the mayor, you preside over council meetings. What do you see as your role in the city council meetings?
So I believe the mayor's role is not only to oversee the meeting and run the meeting, but to also provide perspective and to be able to referee if that's what needs to happen, or clarify points if points are being raised that are incorrect, and we've got the data to be able to support that. So again, I think it's to help facilitate the conversation of the council and be able to get to the best decision possible amongst the council, and being able to then incorporate the public's perspective in that as well.
Thank you. Mr. Holland.
Yeah, definitely as a facilitator. They're not the leader of the council. They're a facilitator of the council speaking. So you're there to empower the council when they have ideas. You empower them. For example, a council member, I won't say their name in case they don't want me to say it, but I think, has suggested a few ideas, but they just died. The mayor said they'll look into it. There was a hotel for sale in town, up north, and for affordable housing, should we have bought that hotel? That was never looked into. Tax splits for the county has been requested for the mayor to look into that, and they just haven't done it. So mainly, you just got to facilitate and empower the council.
Thank you. Mayor James, please.
The job of the mayor is to run city business. And also to, as he said, facilitate, but also give council members an opportunity to have that open space to bring concerns, and then working together to get those concerns done. We have a process that we put in place that anybody got concerns, they can bring to their council members, and council members can bring it to the group as a whole. We look at those, and then we try to make the best decisions from doing our research with staff involved to make the best decision.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, please.
So you have the role of the mayor's facilitation. Communication of council is critical, and council should have healthy debates and healthy discussions. The mayor should facilitate that process. At the end result is you should come out with a result that satisfies the citizens. Now, not every citizen is going to agree with it, but you got to make sure that you come out with a result that satisfies the citizens. Opportunities like work sessions should be planned. I know the fiscal court has a monthly work session. I think that would be ideal for city council to engage in as well. I have been a proponent of discussing about going to districts for city council. I'm doing this because my time on council, I spent 2 years and with 40,000 people calling about the same concern across the board and contacting other 8 people, it got confusing in terms of whether that citizen was looped in close for that situation. So it's something that I want to project in terms of would councils make sense for our community and have a little bit of discussion on that.
Thank you. The next question will begin with Mr. Ullman. How would you handle a situation where you strongly disagree with the city council decision?
You would let your position be known, and you let your position be known. You get a vote if it's you get a vote if your vote only matters if it's a tie. So I think a part of what the mayor does too is help frame the situation. So you would frame your perspective and you would lay out the facts, but then they get a vote. They're the decision makers for council issues, and you have your vote too. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. James.
There are going to be times where the mayor and the council disagree on issues. You, as again, you lay it out there, what your point is, what you want to try to get done, and if there's a disagreement with that, you leave it up to the council to make that decision. You're not going to try to browbeat somebody into something that, to win over their point. What you are going to do, they're elected officials, just like you are. And they are advocating for what they believe, and that's okay. But that's what you call collaborating, working together, and if there's a disagreement, then there'll be a disagreement. But you still try to work to do what's best for people.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, same question.
So when I was on council, I experienced this condition with the Central Kentucky Regional Business Park. It was something that was heavily supported by the mayor and others. And as I dove into it, and the challenge was we only had one option. And that one option for me and for other council members were the struggle. So I did some research, came up with another option, and that option was voted in. So I think to avoid that situation, you have more than one option, because when you only have one option, it sets the stage for disagreement and debate. So I think that having more than one option and being able to measure those options across the same metrics, again, I'm process-oriented. I can't help but be that way. And that eliminates some of that confusion. So more than one option eliminates that. If it does happen, as long as each council member has their say, I think is critical, because they're speaking for the citizens.
Thank you. Mr. Mackey, same question.
Yes. So each body has their own roles and responsibilities. The council is free and it's their responsibility to make public policy. But I think the critical piece there is making sure that all the information is there. You're having conversations and being able to have those pre-conversations, workshop or whatever format that may take, so that all the information is out there. And the informed decision is the decision. And sometimes you just have to agree to disagree.
Great, thank you. Our next question. What is one thing you believe the current city council has done well? What is one thing you think the current city council could have handled better? We're starting with Mayor Jenkins.
Well, the council, which we're serving now, have been really cooperative in trying to do what's best for people. I'll give you a good example. There was a couple of projects that we wanted to make sure we got completed. For instance, the training center for the fire station, which was put ahead. Also, doing work over at City Hall, which was much needed. But collaborating with the city council, with this particular council, has done well. Now, one thing I think we can do better is that we need to make sure that we want to listen to everybody's point of view. And sometimes we listen to one side and then the other side, but then we get to argue about what's the best policy. But listen to everybody, and then, as a collective group, come up with what's best for people to make the best decision.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, same question.
I think one thing the council has done well is the rainy day fund, setting a fund balance. I think it's 30%, so that if there's struggles within, the economy, then there's money available that can operate the city for, I think it's 6 months. So that was a really good decision that was made while I was on council. One thing I think that the council can do better is secure return revenue. We did not vote on Fire Station 4 because we didn't have the recurrent revenue to support 12 firefighters. So the council needs to work on methods for recurrent revenue. Something to do better.
Thank you. Mr. Holman, please.
I think they do a good job of, communicating with each other, keeping things civil, and listening to each other's ideas. And then they're okay with disagreeing sometimes. Like if someone doesn't agree with the council member, they don't get mad about it. They, understand their perspective. There's just the main thing that they could do better is they could speak up more. People view them as often just rubber stamping was put before them. So for example, like the regional business park, that went on for like a year. The conversations about that, the council ultimately voted it down. They ultimately voted down stormwater utility fees. They ultimately voted down impact fees. Instead of letting that drag on for so long and wasting so much time talking about that, they should have just let their opinions be known early on and made the decision quicker.
Thank you. Mr. Maker, please.
Yeah, I think one of the things the council has done well is working together on having conversations. I think the examples have already been given in terms of the regional park and the other long-term projects. I think one of the things we can do better at, though, is to be able to have more work sessions where we can have the facts there and we can actually have a dialogue about the facts. Unfortunately, sometimes a lot of information is being given in a very general way without the supporting information, and decisions or opinions sometimes can get out of control. And so I believe having those workshops to be able to talk about all the facts so that we can come to a real good decision, I think is one of the things we can do a little better.
All right, thank you. We have a question from an audience member, and we'll start with Mr. Allen. What is your view of the public comments section in city council and GMWSS meetings. Do you favor it? If not, why?
I favor it because I favor the public comment section. Now, the part is, I favor it because people need to have a voice, and this is their opportunity. The challenge has been trying to have dialogue back with the council members. That would be not good, because from the standpoint of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, you know, the council's there to do the city's business. So we need to create an opportunity, maybe that's in the work session, for the council to have that dialogue with the citizens in that setting. But I do favor public comments and the opportunity for citizens to voice their concerns.
Thank you. Mr. Menke, same question, please.
Yeah, I think public comment is essential to the activity. I think that's one option during the city council meeting, but I think that's only one. There should be others. You should reach out so that we can have a dialogue and gather information. During the public comment period, it's a one-way conversation. And so many times there are questions or maybe the facts aren't quite right, or we have additional information. And so reaching out, I think, is just as important as being able to be on the record during the meeting. But that ongoing dialogue is really critical.
Thank you. Mr. Holman, same question.
Yeah, the public comments are, it would be strange if you didn't allow public comments. Like, that wouldn't seem right. So obviously, so there needs to be more dialogue than just the public, than just a person going and speaking at the beginning of the meeting. And again, this is where like the planning and zoning model and the board of adjustment model would be that's something to look at, because during the meeting when an issue comes up, they'll say, are there any public questions or comments? And then the public can go right there and have a little bit of interactive dialogue right there. So, for example, right now, this was a public question that was submitted, and we all get to answer it. I think they should do that. That should be allowed at City Council. The public submit a question, just like happened just now.
Excellent. Mayor Jenkins, please.
Public comments is the only time that citizens get to come in and actually express their concerns to the council members. They often can do it sometimes on a phone call, or they come with the public and actually address it. And that gives the council an opportunity to hear what that individual's concern is. And we as a whole can look at that, and then we have an opportunity during what we call our council comments to bring that back up. If something they think they need to be addressed, at that point in time, they say, Mayor, this is something we want to look at too, and can we take a deep dive into that to get an answer?
Thank you. Mr. Allen, same question, please.
I've already
Oh,
answered.
I'm sorry. My fault. New question. And it begins with, it begins with 10. Yeah. Do you anticipate that the difference in occupational taxes paid by city residents compared to county residents is an issue?
Occupational taxes is a state-driven process. And so in order to change that, it would have to go through a state process. I think one of the ways that we're dealing with our unique situation, because Scott County was grandfathered into this process, is the whole idea of interlocal agreements and reviewing those to make sure that we have adequate representation and fair use of those funds. I think, as I said earlier, I think we need to look at maybe expanding some of those things so that we get closer in some areas to that, to be able to be more effective and more efficient in how we operate. But it's something that you should be looking at on an annual basis.
Thank you. Mr. Holman, same question, please.
Yeah, so the occupational tax problem that occurred in about 2003, it's really a very significant major problem that has to be addressed. The city has just been continually underfunded for years as we've been growing, whereas the county, is doing well with their money. So that it needs to be changed, 100%. There's two ways. So it's a state process, but the state allows the county to change it. The county government could vote at their next meeting to release a portion of their occupational taxes to the city. So either that needs to happen, or the governments need to be consolidated. This is a crisis, a major situation. So those are the two solutions. I don't think the interlocal agreements, either they need to just get a lot better. One of those three things. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Jenkins, please.
One important piece about working with Mayoral, and again, I use Georgetown, Scott County as a good example. I like the fact that I can go to Judge Covington and we can sit down and say, let's do this project together for the benefit for everybody. And yeah, they may get a little bit piece more of the pie than we do, but at the end of the day, what's doing right by people is be able to work together, usually on local agreements, to do the best result for everybody.
All right, thank you. Mr. Allen.
Yeah, our interlocal agreements are set at 50% from the city, 50% from the county. And looking at I went back and looked at the last 10 years, and there were over almost 1,100 acres that have been annexed into the city limits. But yet the interlocal agreements have not changed. So it's past time to sit down and look at those interlocal agreements, and maybe it's 55-45 or 60-40. That's where you have to have a good working relationship with the county to make that happen. You can't go back to the county, to the judge, and say, hey, I need some money. You're the mayor, you're the CEO of the city, you've got to run the city efficiently, and you've got to have the funding to do that. Right now, the funding is very strained. I was on the finance committee for 2 years and got a deep dive in what our finances look like. So it is time to sit down with the county and challenge that 50-50 to maybe a different perspective. 65% of the people live in our city and 35% live in the county. That's projected to change by the year 2050 to 70% in the city. So we have to look at that changing the interlocal agreements or some other change. Thank you.
Thank you. And I've got myself out of order here. Let me just take a moment. So we're going to start this question with Mr. Menke, please. Georgetown has a vibrant downtown, but some say parking remains an issue. Do you agree? If so, how should it be addressed?
Well, I believe parking is an issue. As we grow and our downtown is growing, we've got more restaurants, we've got more businesses, and we want to bring more down there in some type of entertainment district. So I think the way that we address that is with the new Justice Center that's there, we'll add some. But for many years, we've talked about a parking structure. I've been involved in some of those in other communities in the state where you build it, you wrap it in businesses, and it actually can help pay for itself and still provide parking there. So it's just a matter of looking at where would be the best place for that to be placed.
Mr. Holman, same question.
Yeah, parking and traffic is a major problem in Georgetown, and it's just not going to get any better. So I think people's fear, we don't want to become congested like Lexington is, but we're getting a little closer every day. In terms of downtown, people talk about a parking structure that might need to happen. Like a park and ride could be an option. You have a lot somewhere outside, a couple of miles outside of town, you can park there, and then there's a bus service that takes you back and forth quickly to your car so you can get downtown easily. I was talking to a tow truck driver the other day, and we got into just talking about traffic all over town, and so he probably knows the town traffic as much as anybody, so we probably just need to do some workshops and conversations about it, bring in tow truck drivers and people with ideas. And this guy had ideas about what roads need to be changed around. Listen to citizen ideas again. Okay, thank you.
Mayor Jenkins, please.
Yes, parking's always been an issue. It's been an issue for a long, long time, and I get that. There are some things that we're looking at doing, and we're trying to do. Number one is we have opened up and we have publicly put on our websites where parking located in different parts of the city. The problem is that people want to be more convenient for them. When they go to shop, they don't want to, statistics show that they want to be within 50 feet of where they want to shop. So, but they can go to the mall and they can walk a mile, that's okay. But I do agree, if we can possibly get some type of parking structure there or let people know where our parking locations is located downtown, that has helped.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, please.
So I've spent a lot of time with the downtown merchants, talking with them about concerns that they have, and their number one concern is parking. So if you look at the behind Cravens and Lewis Jewelry, there's parking back there, but it's not striped off. The stop bars are in disarray. There's a trash big dumpster in the middle of it, so there's available parking right behind that building. Several spots could be right there. So I've talked with them about that. And there's a sign on Broadway that indicates that there's parking over there, but the sign is so old, part of the letters have fallen off, and the letters are not up. So we've got to do a better job with our signage, letting people know that it's available back there, and then we've got to strike that area off, so that's available parking there. I've also talked with the downtown merchants about a trolley system. Now this is something that an entrepreneur can come in and do and run a trolley system from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Make certain stops, run all the way down to the Justice Center, back up behind the City Council, and then come back down Main Street. I'm a small business owner. I would support something like that. So there's opportunities for parking that wouldn't cost us a whole lot, like a parking structure. Parking structure in the future, we need to do something now.
Thank you. Here is a new question, and we'll start with Mr. Holman. What are your ideas to address affordable housing in Georgetown?
Yeah, so this is also like a crisis or an incredibly important situation. So one thing that I wouldn't have done is this past year, several annexations came before City Council all along the bypass, and they annexed every one of them. Some people, but without asking questions about affordable housing. We really should have taken that opportunity when we brought in all these hundreds of acres of land to have an affordable housing conversation. So I've attended religiously for the last 2.5 or even 3 years the monthly affordable housing meetings that are 8 in the morning at the library, where local nonprofits meet, and Candace Whitehouse, the affordable housing director, talks. So, and we've had book discussions. But yeah, I feel the city just is not on top of this. There's lots of ideas out there. There's set-asides. Yeah, my time is up. And then the housing authority. The director of the housing authority who just left came in here and wanted to do all kinds of affordable housing stuff, and he just did not get the support of the city. I would support people with ideas with it.
Thank you. Mayor Jenkins, same question.
Affordable housing, you gotta look at it that way. I look at is we need more diverse workforce type housing. Because look at affordability is what can I afford to buy? And you don't want to get people to get the stigma when you talk about affordable housing. Sometimes they think about Section 8 housing, which is not a good thing. So what we have done and what we're doing now is look at the transportation, some of those same people to the table to look at what can we do by getting some of the public and private people involved, so we can, with developers, to put something in place. We have 3,000 unit shortage of housing in Georgetown, which we're trying to address.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, same question, please.
Yeah, the Transylvania project, I met with the president of Transylvania and talked to him about the process to try to understand what went well, what's going well, what's not going so well, so that we don't make some of the same mistakes. Also, I'm a proponent of tiny homes. I would like to see tiny homes come to our community. Here's why, because a tiny home doesn't cost as much as some of these other houses that are being built. Everybody got their assessments, right? Assessments are based on total cost. So if we can bring in tiny homes, as I've been talking with PVA, John Burke about this, bringing in tiny homes are more, that lowers that overall cost, that lowers that overall assessment over a period of time. And that would take some time. And again, we talk about affordable houses. Affordable means something different to everybody. I've always taken the rule of thumb that it should not be more than 25% of your income. So again, affordable houses means something different to everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Mackey, stand up, question, please.
Yes, so several items here. So the state, so planning and zoning, I was part of a 3-member council group that started looking at planning and zoning requirements and building some flexibility into that. So we've made some recommendations to be able to have that conversation with the rest of city council and then back to the planning commission to provide some flexibility there. The second area is I think we need to have a better coordination with the Georgetown Housing Authority. There's some great plans there and great opportunity there, but not a lot of coordination, so we need to get that back in place. The third area is there are government grants out there. There's one right now, and there's a census tract here in Georgetown that's available for it for workforce housing. And basically, we need to be looking at those things with our grant writer. The final thing is to be able to look at where do we have infill properties within the community and look at how we can incentivize infill for our community.
Thank you. All right. Here's a new question. We'll start with Mayor Jenkins. When will Georgetown and Scott County have a facility large enough to host the major events of 2,000 or so folks?
I guess you're talking about entertainment center. Okay, so that's something where, we are in the process of actually trying to look at some avenues with that. We want to talk with some private and public people to come together, even a developer that will come in. Matter of fact, I had a conversation with 2 developers and trying to get something for kids. We need something, an entertainment for our kids. Because if we don't engage our kids in something positive, then it gets us something to do negatively.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, stand up, question, please.
So I've been looking at the possibility of a 2,000-seat arena, a convention event center. But the question becomes, how do you pay for it? How do you pay for that operating cost on an annual basis? Hold on till you see, I'm going to look into a 3% restaurant tax. I know that's the worst time to be talking about with everything else sky high, but here's what a restaurant tax can do. Possibly bring in $5 to $6 million annually. It could pay for the operating cost of that facility. And I've talked with the downtown merchants about this, and they're concerned that, hey, that's going to push some opportunity away from downtown. I said, why don't we run a shuttle from that convention center to downtown on an hourly basis? The restaurant tax could pay for that too. The restaurant tax could pay for the downtown shuttle. The restaurant tax could pay for a lot of things for quality of life for the citizens of Georgetown that we need. So yes, we need it. That's how to pay for it. There are 50 cities in Kentucky that already have a restaurant tax. Monticello is in one of them.
Thank you. Mr. Mackey.
If folks will recall, whenever we were able to build the last interstate interchange on I-75 at Lexus Way, basically the development between Lexus Way and Walmart was slated to have that arena, convention center, along with a lot of other anchor shopping, hotels, restaurants, and a lot of things. So there was state funds available, there were programs there, and so we need to go back and reevaluate that. Unfortunately, the property became not available once the interchange was there, and that's really unfortunate. So we need to be looking at those kinds of things because it is significant. There has to be a state program, and there is a state program with the TIF activities to be able to do it.
Thank you. Mr. Holland, please.
Yeah, so it's news to me that this was like a priority issue of Georgetown. We need to determine, do people want a large convention center at this time? So we do have a comprehensive plan, and I think that may show up in there somewhere along with many things as, you know, ideas for the future. So again, the comprehensive plan came out more than a year ago, but we have not yet started an implementation committee to talk about what we want to do. So I think part of this would involve small area plans for the city. You take different parts of the city, and instead of doing a general zoning plan, you do small area plans where you specifically define what you'd like to see there. So like Mr. Mickey was talking about, this Whitaker property that sat vacant for years is inside the city. So if instead of developing out of the city, we should develop this Whitaker property. Someone needs to contact Jack Whitaker and really, you know, tell him we want to do something special with this land. And there's other spots of land too that the city should be looking at with small area plans.
Thank you. All right. This is going to be our last question, and then we'll have some time at the end for each of you to make a closing statement of 1 to 2 minutes. So here's a question. We're going to start with Mr. Allen. How can we support the arts in our community? We had an arts center in the old jail. There were classes, I can't read that word, until the city put the visitor center, but it's empty now. So basic question about the arts.
So my wife and I go to Fallen Springs. I don't know if you guys know where that's at in for sale, but it is a nice place in terms of being able to go and watch a play, just enjoy the afternoon. We need something like that here in Georgetown. It comes back to how do we pay for this stuff, right? That's the key. Go back to that restaurant tax, guys. We have so many visitors in Georgetown that cycle through here. Let them help pay for some of the things that we want to do. So I am a strong proponent of the arts, and I want to support them, and that's how I would pay for it. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mickey, please.
Well, quality of life is where the arts fall, and I think it's essential that we have those things. I think until we are able to actually build a facility to be able to incorporate that into our existing facilities. This is a good venue here at the library. We need to expand our other parks and those kinds of things. We can do more things outside. I think we're able to take advantage of now with City Hall opening back up. We're freeing up some storefronts and things like that where existing staff are now, and being able to incorporate something like the old jail and those areas to really focus on maybe an outdoor amphitheater in that area and those kinds of things to highlight the arts.
Mr. Ullman, please.
Yeah, arts and entertainment is something that Georgetown does need to improve in. We just simply have not done what we should have done as a growing town over the focus just hasn't been on arts and entertainment. So Fallen Springs and Versailles is smaller than us. They managed to have a theater. Cynthiana has a theater. It's a nice theater. Cynthiana has a bowling alley, by the way. We don't even have a bowling alley. And then how do you pay for it? I don't think a restaurant tax, you get the county, and money is needed, but also you encourage. We need to encourage arts and entertainment. We have these conversations. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Mayor James.
I think one thing we do is, we have the museum here in town, and cooperate with them and help get them involved, as well as tourism, get them involved, and hopefully get some, one thing I do agree with Mr. Allen is just get some development to come in here and partner with us on this. Because I do believe that, having a cultural arts center of this type would be beneficial for this community.
Excellent. Well, we've come to a time where we'll hear from each of these candidates sort of their closing statement. So you have 2 minutes to make an argument why you're the best person to lead Georgetown forward. And let us start with Mr. Allen, please.
Double A. Okay, what I bring to this is visionary leadership. We have to look down the road at opportunities. My biggest focus is going to be recurring revenue. We can't do things like quality of life initiatives until we have recurring revenue that takes care of the services for all of our citizens. We continue to grow and we're continuing to expand. We have over 1,300 residential units on the east side and 50 commercial sites on the east side of town that are outside of the 4-minute window from our fire department. Why is that important? That's the standard, is that the first vehicle can get on site in 4 minutes. Outside of that 4 minutes means that loss of structure could increase. On the west side of town, we have 1,300 units that are outside the 4-minute window. We do not have the recurring revenue to pay for 12 firefighters. We don't have it. That's been I'm not gonna say failure, that's been the thing that should have been the focus all along. If we don't get recurring revenue, we can't do these things. We can't provide the services that are needed. Police, one police officer costs $150,000, that's around $150,000 per officer. That's salary, that's benefits, that's body armor and all that information. As we grow, the standard says for every additional 1,000 people, we need 2 more officers. Now, there are some that don't want to go by some of these standards. I didn't make the standards. People that are professional and subject matter experts have made these standards. If it was your child as a police officer or firefighter, you'd want it. So I want it. I want to make sure that we provide the services to every citizen. We're continuing to expand. We're going to continue to annex. We're at 40,000 citizens in Georgetown. We're expected to be at 70,000 by the year 2050. If we don't have the return revenue, guys, we're not going to make it. It's going to be a continuous struggle. That's fine. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's fine. You're good. Mayor Jenkins, please.
You know, I hear people talking about a lot of different things here, but you know, one thing that I didn't hear is we. What we can do together to get things done. You know, we're not one mayor, not one council, independently can get this done. It is we that does all this. My job as mayor is not simply to address some of the issues right before me now. You gotta look ahead. One thing I do agree with Mr. Allen and some of these others up here is that if you don't address the future needs of this community, the cost of living going up, the cost of services going up, and what brings in recurring revenue is jobs. Economic development brings in jobs. When you bring in jobs, then you can help pay for growth. And yes, we do have a recurring revenue source that we're going to put ahead for that fire station. And also remember one other thing is this, as I mentioned before, if I'm still dealing with the same problems and then passing it on to the next administration, then I'm not doing a good job as mayor. Because my job is to set the next mayor, the next council, the next generation to be successful. And to be successful means that you have to look ahead. Because we don't want them dealing with the same problems that we're dealing with now. We have been addressing that all the time. This current council is dealing with problems that was left before, and then the council before that. So there are going to be problems. But you address those in that timely fashion and take something off their plate. I'm the best person for this job because I've been in this seat for 4 years. I am a servant of the people and will continue to be a servant of this community.
Thank you. Mr. Holmes, please.
Yeah, I think what I would bring is, again, that person who can connect the dots, an intuitive, analytical, creative thinker who absolutely does use the word we. We need to come together as a community, set our vision, and then set tangible, achievable goals to get there. I was a project manager for years, technical strategist. We focus on goals and do what it takes to get them done. I have been frustrated over, and I don't want to get too negative, over the past 3 or 4 years, it's just of all the missed opportunities that we've had. And again, a lot of it is laid out in our comprehensive plan. I think the comprehensive plan was a little too long last time, but we just need to choose some things and then get there. Like, what do we want to do? There's a connectivity projects that can be done. They're easy to do, like the legacy trail. People talk about park. I think we need to have a strong parks and recreation system in town, and where we have trails and bike paths. They don't necessarily have to be bike paths on the roads competing with the cars. So yeah, just choose our projects, do our projects.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Minky, please.
Well, first of all, thank you all for coming out this afternoon. It's all about priorities. I think Georgetown's best days are ahead of us, but only if we're intentional about how we get there. As our city keeps growing, the decisions that we make today will determine whether we protect our neighborhoods, we manage traffic, we ensure the roads, utilities, public safety, and the services keep up with that growth. That's why in my administration, we'll be grounded in 3 commitments. First is leadership that listens, clear communications and transparency, so people understand the why before those decisions are made, not after. Second is intentional planning, using our comprehensive and economic development plans as living tools and overlapping them to align with growth, infrastructure, staffing, and long-term sustainability. Third is the results-oriented stewardship, measuring progress, holding ourselves accountable, and respecting taxpayers with disciplined, data-driven decisions. I've spent over 4 decades translating the needs of business, education, communities, and government into collaborative solutions that work. And I'll bring that same experience, judgment, and steady leadership to the mayor's office. I'd be honored to earn your support, your turnout for the primary, and your vote in that primary. You'll find Kim Minky batting cleanup, number 4, on the primary ballot for mayor. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, and we have a closing word from Mr. Stockton.
Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you all for attending tonight. I think this is an illustration of the interest in our community, and certainly appreciate it. On Friday, the news graphic sent to every home in Scott County, in addition that included election information. There are copies in the back table if you didn't get one, and if you didn't, let me know, because I need to talk to the post office. But anyway, if you need an extra edition, they're back there. I want to thank Mr. Ward for his help. I want to give another round of applause to these gentlemen.